Welcome to Talking Halo. This is Derek Ciapola with my co-host of Partners in Crime, Jared Timms and Nate Green. Sorry, guys, we're back. We're back. We've been gone a while. Things happen, but we are presented to you by the Blue Wire Network. Make sure you go check them out and all their other podcasts or all their other teams, especially teams that we cover, like Rams Talk Radio. Anyways, we've been gone because basically life got us. I'm finishing the school year, just now finishing up, which means more time for me. And Jared and Nate both are involved in the sport in different ways, and therefore it takes them away. So we're gathering here today to get things reestablished around the fact that this team sucks. It sucks. And instead of sitting here just going through the normal stuff, like, hey, they got swept by the Guardians, which is nothing new. They get swept pretty much all the time by the Guardians, or they're 20-33 and Reed Detmers blew another one today. There's some stuff we want to get into. And the big one we want to get into is, well, Perry Nazian. And with all that said, Jared, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Not gonna lie here. Baseball season, baseballs, baseball all the time, every day. Go check out the Sawtooth Sockeyes, by the way.
The what?
There you go. I'm gonna throw out a little bit of a random shout out there. Sawtooth Sockeyes, summer ball team that I'm coaching for. So there you go.
There we go. So now you know what's got him busy. Nate, what's got you busy?
Well, we just finished our season at Vanguard, so we got a little bit of time now, but recruiting and everything is just maddening right now. So
So
we
that
haven't
means,
we haven't missed much, to be honest, but it's fine.
well, yeah,
And
we've
he's
missed our listeners, so they always
and
have good stuff for us too.
and hold on.
I was trying to get away from
You're
this,
not
but
gonna get
yeah.
away from this one. Nate's getting married. There you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
For those of you who didn't even know he had a girlfriend,
Yes.
now going to be getting married.
It's a girlfriend, right? I mean, this is 2024. I knew nothing of this. How much know anything?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, just checking. I didn't think Vanguard would accept anything else anyway, so we're good. I digress. Now that we know that, congratulations, man.
All right.
Thank you.
You're taking the next step here. I mean, congrats.
Yes, thank you.
Many more people on our staffs are getting married or having kids, so I guess it's a sign we're getting old. Steve over at Rams Talk has a kid in the way now. Go figure. Whole staff. Johnny, if you're listening, time for getting that boat. So, anyways, here we go. Paranazian. Angels 20-33, last place in a bad division. The division we didn't think would be bad is bad. The Astros have not been the Astros. The Rangers are seemingly have a World Series hangover here. The Seattle's in first place at the 28-26 record. The A's, though, are even better than the Angels right now at 22-23. They're 22-33. Believe it or not, it's a winnable division, yet let's be real. The Angels don't have the horses. Why? It comes down to Perry Nazian. And that's what we want to talk about today. Perry, because we all want to blame the big man. The guy who writes the checks. That tends to be a thing. Sam Blum does it a lot with the Athletic, and he has his reasons for it. But what about Perry? I feel like, what about Bob? Bob? What about Bob? What about Perry? Nate, what about Perry?
I'm not a big Perry guy, so Jared, I know Jared will go the other way on this, but he has not done a good job. There really hasn't been anything that you can point to be like, oh wow, this has been good. His free agent signings have been a lot of misses, way more misses than hits. His drafts have been way more misses than hits as well. I guess the only thing you could point to is he's made a couple of trades that have worked out well for the Angels. You could argue, huh?
Said Lucas Giolito.
Yeah, it goes both ways, but I would say he's made a couple more trades that have worked out for the Angels than trades that have not worked out for the Angels. You could argue the Brandon Marsh, Logan O'Hoppe was pretty much a wash. At the time, you could say the Moniak for Syndergaard trade, they won that one. The Giolito trade was an absolute nightmare. He really hasn't done anything that has been good. This gets you fired everywhere else. You get an F across the board in free agency and drafting. In I guess you give him a C- in trading, but like everything has been below average, it gets you fired.
Jared, you ready? Are you going to defend Perry?
A little bit, I'll say, just a little bit here. Has Perry put a bad team on the field? Yes, and that's his job, is to put a good team on the field. I think we can all agree with that. However, we're going to get back into the same thing that we've done every single time that we get a new GM, right? We've done this how many times on this podcast alone? Like, we've been doing this podcast for a while now, and we've done
5 years. It's 5 years right now.
Have we seen 3 GMs? Billy was the GM?
Billy was the GM, so we've seen 2.
Two GMs. Well, we'll see a third GM here, I would assume, fairly soon. But it's been the same thing every single time, right? You know, Billy gets his chance, Perry gets his chance, and everything like that. It's the same thing over and over again. And I don't expect that to change, even if Perry does leave after this season, or if he stays. I don't know. I really don't. But with the way things are going, you have to put blame somewhere, just because that's the industry you live in, and you can't put blame on Artie because you can't fire Artie. And Ron Washington's brand new. You can't put blame on Wash. You can put blame on the players, and then you can put blame on the guy who put that roster out on the field for them. So, yes, with where the Angels are right now, Perry Minasian's fault, 100%. You have to do a better job of finding better talent. Tyler Anderson looks good. But other than that, like, there hasn't been a lot of very good signings. The money has not gone the way that you'd want the money to go. Not saying that you need to go dish out $70 million for Shohei Ohtani, but if you're not going to spend the $70 million on Shohei Ohtani, you can spend it better some other places, and not on Aaron
You can't
Hicks
spend $40 million in the bullpen only.
And the bullpen that hasn't been a thing, and Robert Stevenson, who may not even pitch for the Angels, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So yes, for the team that's being put on the field right now, and the 20 wins this season and the 33 losses, it is on Perry Minasian. However, devil's advocate here. Devil's advocate. Exactly what I just mentioned. We've done this same thing over and over and over again, with Jerry to Billy to Perry now. I mean, it's constantly the same thing over and over again. You haven't been able to grow the farm system. You don't put money into anything. There's supposed to be, I mean, how many scandals have the Angels had here in the past 5 years alone? I mean, it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. Like, it doesn't change. At some point, something's got to change. So getting rid of Perry, does that make the Angels better? I mean, we'd like to hope so, right? Like, we'd like to hope you bring in a better baseball mind, but at the end of the day, Artie's been getting what Artie wants. And I don't think it gets better until the Angels are under new ownership, because I mean, we're just going to see the same thing again. It's going to be some young, eager GM who thinks that they're going to be able to have total control of the Angels. They're going to get a year to do what they want and maybe spend some money, maybe get a big name free agent, and then, maybe make some trades with guys that, that they didn't draft. And then, once all that stuff doesn't pan out, it goes back to the exact same thing all over again. So, yes, the team that's been put on the field right now, that's Perry's fault. He has not put a very good team on the field. He has not allocated his money very well. Drafting has been actually probably the best part of this, right? I mean, the drafting and trades have been the best part of what's going on, and you can say the trades are Perry's, but I'd say the drafting is more on the Tim McElvain side of things. International side of things is looking pretty decent as well, and you can thank Brian Parker for that. So, yeah, it's tough. I think I don't know, man. Like, something's got to change, and it's not a new GM, or is it a new GM? I don't know, because I think we continue to see the same thing all over again.
Seems like you're saying there is some positive movement in the Angels organization under Perry.
Yeah. I mean,
under his, might not be him, but
I mean,
under his jurisdiction.
This is like one of the youngest teams the Angels have put out there in a while. Like, is it good? Like, Nolan Shanuel at first, Zach Neto's a lot of fun at short. Like, Luis Renifo's playing good baseball. Taylor Ward's playing good baseball. Logan O'Hoppe trade, I mean, you can consider that a wash. I'd consider that a win for the Angels just because you're not getting what Brandon Marsh is doing in Philly out of Brandon Marsh and Anaheim. So yeah, I'll take that as a win for the Angels and Logan O'Hoppe. Joe Adell's arguably an all-star. Like Joe Adell's playing really good baseball. So I mean,
228. It's hitting 228 as of this morning.
yeah, I mean, that's fine. I get it. I know I get what you guys are saying. But yes, my statement from the beginning of the season stands. This is still a fun young core group of guys to build around. Are they going to be good? I don't know, but it's at least a fun young core group of guys to build around, and it's better better prospects wise than the Angels have had in quite some time. So I mean, Jose Suarez was the number 2 prospect on the Angels. Jaime Barria was the top prospect. So like, I mean, what are we talking about? That's when I first started covering the Angels in the minor league system. Was those guys were top prospects, and look at them now. So
To be fair, though, they were drafting in that 14 to 20 range, not the 3 to 7 range. So
Which is
it's
when
a
they're gonna
lot
be
easier to
there.
have good prospects when you're drafting early.
How do I say this correctly? I can't. Jared, are you on crack? Like seriously, are you seriously gonna come in here with this is a fun, exciting dude? They are awful to watch right now. What are you talking about?
He's a
They're
Perry apologist.
awful.
Actually, any GM the Angels get, he will always give him the benefit of the doubt. Just know that that's how he rolls.
I
I mean, well,
agree
we've
that
been
they're
giving
awful.
him the benefit of the doubt now for. I think every GM should get at least 3 years. At least 3 years of benefit of the doubt. But what year is this now? When did they fire Billy?
This is third.
This is third. This is it. They're not getting better. They're doing the same stuff they were doing 3 years ago, getting guys off the trash heap, put them in the outfield, put them in the infield. That's what they're doing.
Look at the past. Look at the past GMs. They've tried everything. They've tried to build a team every different way, right? Jerry tried to buy a team.
But that doesn't mean that just because we've seen this happen before that the next guy's going to be bad. Like if we just played that game, then we might as well
Artie's
just
tricking you now too. Like,
No,
it's the same thing.
because we've seen this in other organizations, like the Detroit. I'll bring up the Detroit Lions, right? Detroit Lions were a really bad run organization. Their owner has been there since 2014. Okay, if the Lions just said, you know what, we're never any good. Let's just keep running the same thing over and over and over again, and not hire a new head coach. They hire a new head coach. What do you know? They're one win away from the Super Bowl. The Cleveland Browns, they could do the same thing. Be like, hey, you know what? We suck at football. Why go get a new guy? We're just going to continue to suck at drafting. We're going to continue to suck at everything. Oh, what do you know? We have a shot to be like they were 2 wins away from the Super Bowl a couple years back.
I have a better example for you. The team that beat them today, the Guardians. Okay, their ownership is garbage, cheap, to say the least, and they overperform every year. How do they do it? They develop. They develop. They develop. They develop. They develop. I can keep going. And they never have a team that salary, even in the middle of the pack, because their owner is cheap. One of the worst owners in baseball. 36-17 right now, first place. And by the way, they're decent to watch. I'm not a Guardians fan. I got a nice little baseball story at the end of the show to tell you guys. But it's not Guardians related, but from this weekend. My point is this, is you can look at the Royals right now. The ownership has never been great. They were awful for years, won a World Series, tore it down. Now they're competitive again. Why can't the Angels do this? They're too busy. They're too busy spinning their wheels doing the same stuff, hoping it's going to produce a different result. Insanity. Why can't they do like? I want to hear. Tell me if I'm wrong here, but what's to stop Manassian from building a farm system here? They have a budget. I know it's cheap, but you can't tell me that teams like the Guardians or the Royals are paying less or more, whatever the word is. Help me and educate me, please, Jared, because we disagree here some.
I think they might be paying more, to be honest.
Who might be paying more?
The Guardians. I
They
actually
might be.
do.
They might be.
I
But
think they are.
you got 32 teams. You can't tell me the Angels are bottom of the barrel here in terms of it, and they're not at least competitive with our teams. We're talking about the Pirates here and other low budget clubs.
Pirates had how many top picks in a row? I mean, yeah, that helps, especially when you can draft the way that they drafted. The Angels have never had that draft pick. I mean, they were in the top. They were in the top 10 once. They really were. What, twice maybe they're in the top 10.
What
So
pick number was Mike Trout?
26. Mike Trout's an anomaly. We're talking about the
26,
Dodgers at that point.
But those
Like,
guys are out there, man.
The Dodgers
Those
are an
guys are
anomaly.
out there. Not every top prospect coming up right now is a top 5 pick.
Absolutely. You still have to put money into development. You're not putting anything into development.
Okay,
You're
so
really not.
is that whose fault is that? Is that Artie, Perry, both?
That's really Artie's fault.
Yeah,
But how much of that is how much would Artie is
100%.
Perry pushing the
It's-
envelope with him saying, "Hey, well, listen, we need this, this, and this."
Well,
We never know that because the Angels don't talk about anything.
Perry came in. Well, yes. I mean, you don't know. It's kept pretty much secret. But I mean, Perry came into this smart. Like, when he came into the organization, he kind of came in smart. In a sense, by exactly what I was going to say. Jerry tried to buy a team. Billy tried to develop a team without having those tools to develop. Perry came in and was like, okay, I'm going to get the quickest moving guy and put him at the major league level. Like, to an extent, that's kind of smart. Like, to be like, okay, like, hey, look, we're developing. We got a core group of guys, whatever you want to say there. Like, that's he kind of played it smart in a sense. And I don't know what a new GM is going to do. I mean, a teardown sounds like a lot of fun to me, but Artie will never allow a teardown. So
He needs. Well, they might not have to tear down. They're bad enough as it is.
I mean, you still got guys you can tear it down with. Like, if you really wanted to trade,
I mean,
Trout,
I'm
you
just
could trade
saying, like
Trout.
you're
Not gonna
20
happen.
and 33. You're not too far from White Sox level right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, why didn't Shohei Ohtani get traded? Was it Perry's fault or was it Artie's fault? Like,
We don't know that for sure.
There were teams
We don't
coming
know that
knocking on. There were teams coming knocking on the door for Shohei Ohtani, going to be offering what the Padres traded away for Juan Soto. I mean, like, it's like, if you want to build a farm system, there you go. That's number one right there. How to build a farm system is, you can trade guys away. Like, instead they go and they trade 4 guys. Like, then we can put that on Perry if we want to, or is it Artie's fault by saying, like, hey, like, we need to go show Shohei that we want to put a winning team on the field? Like, whose fault? We don't even know whose fault that really was last year, right? Like, we were sitting here on this podcast all season last year saying, once we get to June, this is going to get very difficult. And then it goes June, right? Like, the schedule got very, very difficult in July or something. Okay. And we were like, okay, you're sitting around that point where you can do it. And they go and they start making trades to go get guys, right? They go get Giolito, they get Crone, they get Moustakas, they go get Escobar, they go get all these guys last year. And it's like, why would you do that? Like, you could see it happening. You could see it happening.
To be fair, 2 of those guys you named were out of necessity of not having enough depth, which would be Perry's fault.
Exactly.
But if we're gonna sit here and say, like, oh, let's not make a change because
I'm not saying not make a change, but, like, you've done changes how many times in the past and it hasn't worked. Like, what's going to change with another GM? Like, we're going to be sitting here hoping.
But if you have that mindset, you're never going to get good. Like,
we can have that mindset. You just said
mindset. Why make a change, though? You just said why make a change if it's not going to work.
Though we can have that mindset on this podcast because we're not Artie Moreno. Artie Moreno's got to be the one to make that mindset change and be like, wow, I cannot be under control of this anymore.
But it doesn't even have to be that. He could just get lucky and pick the wrong guy, and it ends up being the right guy. Like, just because Artie's making the decisions doesn't mean every time he makes the decision it's going to be wrong. Like, the statistical probability of picking the wrong guy every single time is almost 0.
He's over since Bill Stoneman. And I think, did Bill Stoneman join the org before?
I think his first hire technically was
Tony Regan's.
I don't even think it was Tony. I think it actually was Jerry. I think Jerry was technically his first one because
I don't
it might
know.
have been
Tony.
Riggins. It might have been
I think
Tony
it was
Riggins, but Tony
and
Riggins was
and we
fine.
have plenty to complain about with Tony Riggins, Vernon Wells trade. I mean, there's a
That was
lot we
Artie.
can complain about there. So I mean, even
But
going back
you
to
and I
Tony, it
both know
hasn't
that trade
changed.
was Artie's fault.
What are we talking about then?
Did,
We're talking about it
did,
being Perry's fault.
okay. Did Tony Riggins make the playoffs? Yes or no?
Yeah, with a freaking amazing farm
Okay.
system that he didn't even build.
Okay, but you can't use that argument for Tony and Jerry.
There hasn't
Did
been a
Jerry
good
make
farm
the,
system since Artie has been here.
Did Jerry make the playoffs? Yes or no?
Yes, one time he bought a
Okay.
playoff. He bought a playoff one time and they didn't get a win.
Okay, but they still made the playoffs. We're just asking to be relevant. We're not even asking to win playoff games right now.
We're not asking them to make the playoffs. We're asking them to be a 500 team. That hasn't
Yes. And Perry can't even do that. Perry hasn't even come close to that.
I can't
So
blame.
if we're going to sit here and place
fully
blame on Artie
Perry,
Moreno,
though.
like Perry's got to put a better team on the field.
You can say that
we
about
know
every other GM. There's only been one consistent with all these GMs, and them
Listen,
being
man,
bad.
I'm with
Artie
Nate.
Moreno.
I'm with Nate on this because it's sooner or later, you know, he's still he may be handcuffed by Artie Moreno. He might be handcuffed by Artie Moreno, but you can't tell me these other teams in the league that feel at least competitive ball clubs aren't handcuffed in one shape or form by their owner. The Indians, the Guardians, are an amazing example of that.
Then if you're handcuffed, go put where you're not handcuffed into good use, right? And the Guardians are doing good things in development because that's not where they're being handcuffed. They're being handcuffed because of the major league salary and they can't put money into that, right? So it's like, well, we got to go develop. Tampa Bay. Oakland, I'll give you as a different case because of everything going on. And I mean, at that point, would it surprise you if the Angels end up like Oakland and have to move? Like Artie wants to move them? I don't think that's the case. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on in the background, but like
Oakland is more competitive than we are.
For the first time in like freaking 5 years, they've been more competitive. Like
but still, this is the first time in Perry's tenure that he has not had Shohei Ohtani on the roster. And me and you both think that Shohei Ohtani on the roster makes things way more difficult. But still, the fact that he's not on the roster and you can't even be better than Oakland. Okay, let's just say, for example, Shohei Ohtani leaves, right? That was $70 million off the books. Everyone in the building knew Artie wasn't going to go to the same number that he went to with Ohtani. Everyone did. Okay. And you're telling me that you're going to take that $35 to $40 million that you were allowed to spend, and you're going to spend 39 of it on relief pitching?
I said it at the beginning.
And just guess wrong every single time. Robert Stevenson, you put in his contract. You put in Robert Stevenson's contract. Hey, there's a TJ clause in your contract, but we're going to sign you for 3 years. Oh, what do you know? TJ. Like, what are we doing here? Luis Garcia hasn't been a good pitcher in ever, and we're giving him more money than half the guys in the major leagues right now. Jose Cisneros, like, not a good pitcher.
I already said this season. I said this season, and the team that's on the field right now is Perry's fault. I said that. I said in general.
Then why are we going to give him the benefit of the doubt of like, oh, maybe he'll build a better team next year?
I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt.
If we're going to use your logic,
what changes? I asked what changes if with a new GM, and all you guys said were, "I hope this happens." Like a mindset change needs to happen. It's like I don't have to have a mindset change. My mindset doesn't need to change. Artie's needs to change.
You're saying something.
You're telling me that a new GM wouldn't have new ideas?
You'd like to hope so. All these GMs came in with new ideas, and they all left with the exact same team. Like when Perry leaves, this team is no different than when Billy left because there's no farm system.
No, it's worse.
And a small core group of guys. This team is no different than when Jerry DePoto left either. Like this, there's nothing.
I know. I like the direction more under Epler, but I digress.
Billy. So again, like I said, Jerry tried to buy a team. And I mean, I guess you can say it kind of worked. You had a group of guys to work around. Nate, we've talked about this before. Like Josh Hamilton signing was a legitimate good signing. Like that was the guy the Angels needed to put them above and beyond. You look at Billy. Billy tried to develop a team, and they were not giving funds to where they needed to give to develop guys. And now Perry comes in and he tries this whole different approach of, hey, like we're just going to push guys up through the farm system as quickly as can be. Like Caden Dana's right around the corner. Caden Dana might start next Saturday for all I know. At the major league level against the Mariners. I don't know. We will see. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, not blaming this season on Artie. in whole, sure, like I can oversee it and be like, this is all Artie's fault. But the team that's been put on the field, this is Perry's fault. Like I said, why are you signing guys like Aaron Hicks? Why are you signing guys like the bullpen
Robert
that is just
Stevenson, Luis
absolutely just
Garcia, Jose
abysmal?
Cisneros.
Yeah, you have better ways to allocate your funds than what they did, and they just didn't do
All
it.
right,
He didn't do
so
a very good job.
hold on, because this is gonna we're running out of time. Last question, because you made a good point. Well, all we're saying is just replace the guy. All right, so Nate, since you're making the argument, go ahead and clarify. Who's what are the characteristics of right now of your ideal GM? I'm not asking for a name, just characteristics of your ideal GM.
And this isn't realistic, but it's someone who's been a GM before, which I know everyone's going to say has never happened in Artie's tenure, but who's to say things can't change? Someone who's been a GM before, someone who's been with a organization that has won before, and someone that has a track record of being good in free agency. Because the Angels aren't going to develop. Like that's not the way that things work with the Angels. And Artie Moreno, they are last in spending in everything when it comes to minor leagues. So I need someone who's good in free agency. I need someone who has proven to win, and I need someone who's done it before. And I've said the name last time, and it'll be the same name this year, but it won't happen. And it's John Daniels with the Rays. He was with the Rangers, had good success in free
Very good
agency,
GM.
has won games with Texas, got him to the playoffs. Now he's with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a really good organization. That would be my pick. I know that's not going to happen.
That's a good GM. Jared, do you have a guy?
I I I want somebody with experience as well. You look at it; they've never brought it under Artie's ownership. They've never had anybody that's had experience come straight in. I mean, you look at the last four GMs that have come in. Stoneman's the only one that's ever had any type of experience as a GM. He came in for what, like 6 months, I think, after Jerry left there, and then he's been around the organization for a long time. So I'd love to see somebody with experience come in as well. I'd love to see. I mean, this is something we've talked about 100 times. I'd love to see a president of baseball operations, on that side of stuff too. But it seems like Perry and his staff are the president of baseball operations. So I don't think that's going to happen. And another name besides John Daniels is who's the Cubs guy? Is that not Jed Hoyer, right? Is that who it is? No.
Well,
Who's the
he's the president of baseball ops. You're thinking of Theo Epstein.
Theo is who I'm thinking. Theo's who I'm thinking of is Theo Epstein. Yeah, Epstein would be a great addition as well. But yeah, I don't see it happening. It hasn't happened in the past 15, 20 years of Artie's ownership. Like I don't see it happening now.
I mean, there needs to be they're really at the root of it. It's now we're beating the dead horse. The vast part of it. At the root, there needs to be a philosophical change, and that only comes from ownership. And that's why everybody wants there to be an ownership change. All right, before we go, I want to tell you guys about this cool baseball story. Dave Parker, remember him? Played for the Angels before you guys were born, probably. At the end of his career, played for the Pirates, played for the Reds, should be considered for the Hall of Fame. Was out in Pittsburgh yesterday to watch the Braves Pirates with my daughter for Dave Parker bobblehead day. If you watch the 30 for 30 on Parker relating to Pittsburgh, it's a rough watch. But they brought the whole 79 World Series team in to acknowledge the 45th anniversary. Whoever was able to come there, you guys are older now. And just in a real kind of neat thing, they gave away this beautiful bobblehead, probably one of the better bobbleheads I've seen. And they honored all these guys. They brought back Lanford Terry, who was their announced guy, their voice for 30 plus years, and he sounded like he could still do the job. And in a really neat kind of feel good story, the guy fans turned on for years, Dave Parker. They got to him. He has Parkinson's disease now. He's at a foundation. They got to him. They gave that man a standing ovation, and it was beautiful. It was looking at the smile on his face. as he waved his hat and the fans. He was the only one of all everybody who was there that they gave us. And the Manny Singh was there, and then the Pirates great. So just a really kind of a cool baseball. So we're seeing Dave Parker honored the way he should. Former Angel again, but that's it. So I wanted to say it was just really kind of a neat, and we're baseball fans. We love the Angels. We're covering the Angels, but we're baseball fans. And if you get a chance to watch the ESPN 30 for 30 on Dave Parker, you'll know that meant something yesterday. So there you go. Cool story. Any closing thoughts, guys?
Yeah, fire Artie.
Fire.
College World Series starts this week. Some fun names to be looking out for. Possible Angel draft choices that are going to be here. I know Wake Forest is going to be in it. Obviously, there are some Vanderbilt, all the really good teams as normal. Tennessee. There'll be some really really good prospects here, and it's going to be a fun couple weeks.
Yep.
More fun than the Angels.
All right, guys. Follow Jared at Jared_Tims. Follow Nate at NateGreen34. Follow me at Ciapola. We're back. Expect to see more shows. I'm on break. And apparently Nate's season's closing up. So we're back. Have a great one. We're out of here.